Hey, what is up guys? This is Nishi from MST.TV back with another Market Watch episode. We have a few different cool things to talk about today between the release of Darkwing Blast coming up and the reveal of cards in the OCG for Photon Hypernova, the next core set that we should be getting early on in 2023. I'm a bit on the fence about going over early prices and predictions about the new cards in Darkwing Blast, but if that is something that you guys want to see from me, let me know down in the comments. But for today, we have some other buyouts and price spikes to discuss for cards that are already available on the market. Let's get started. So let's kick things off by taking a look at a couple of cool cards that are right on the fringe of being meta relevant. The first one being Kugasuchi. This is a rank 4 monster that requires 2 level 4 Beast Warrior monsters to make. Now on summon you get to send the top 5 cards from your deck to the graveyard. It does have some other Bujin related effects since this is a Bujin card, but we don't really care about those because this card is being looked at in the Lunalight Tearlament deck. The Lunalight monsters are all level 4 Beast Warriors, and they're able to make Kugasuchi, and this allows you to mill an additional 5 cards and get you a pretty good chance at proccing a Tearlament monster effect. Honestly, doesn't seem so bad, but then again we have to keep in mind that any variant of Tearlament that may be good right now is really only temporary since they're all probably going to be outclassed once the Ishizu cards come out in Magnificent Mavens. Now of course we don't have too many printings of Kugasuchi. It is available in Shadow Specters as an Ultra and Ultimate Rare, and then it got an Ultra Rare printing in the Megatins, and that's it. So the Ultimate Rare is going to cost you right around $30, a bit more if you're looking strictly for a first edition copy. And then for the Ultras, you're looking at around $10 for the Megatin print and then $15 for the original. Not too bad considering the card was actually quite cheap when people started trying this out in the deck first. However, if we do keep the Ishizu stuff in mind, I think we have to look at this card as a card to sell for now. It might be viable once again in the future when the Tearlament or Ishizu cards get hit on an upcoming ban list, but once the Ishizu cards drop, it is very unlikely that people will be needing to use this card or the Lunalight stuff right away. When that happens, expect the card's prices to fall off significantly. Next up is kind of a strange one. It is Paleozoic Marella. So this one was an odd one to me because I think it's one of the less used Paleozoic cards. They have an MST, a Book of Moon, a Karma Cut, but Marella is actually the one that dumps another trap card from your deck to the graveyard when it's activated. So I actually saw a Paleo Tearlament list that topped a regional or something like that, and it was kind of an interesting one. It was trap based, it ran 3 Marella, 3 Dynamiscus, and then 3 copies of Rise to Full Height, a card that you can banish from your graveyard to prevent your opponent from attacking you directly and only allowing them to attack a single monster you control. The other thing you can do is dump a Tearlament trap card using Marella into the graveyard, and that would trigger the effect of Suliak to search for a Tearlament monster from your deck to your hand. Now, I don't know how good this build is, since I did just see the one deck list and haven't seen it too much since then, but I guess it is a cool creative way to play the Tearlament strategy since it gives you access to one of the best extra deck monsters in the game in the form of Totally Awesome. Of course, this isn't a super popular option right now. I think more people are looking at like the Lunalights or Danger Engine and other things as being more consistent, faster engines, but if you really want to play traps, then maybe this is something for you. However, the card only has 1 super rare printing from an OTS tournament pack, and all the other versions of the card are common, so naturally, people have targeted Marella for a buyout, and these supers are around $5 each. Honestly, your money is probably better spent elsewhere, especially considering that just like with the Lunalight stuff, the Paleozoic cards are only a temporary engine for people to use with Tearlaments until the Ishizu stuff takes over the format at the end of the month. Alright, so now we are on to Goatee of the Deep Beyond. So, as is pretty standard with TCG exclusive archetypes, people were kind of excited for the reveals of the new Goatee cards in Darkwing Blast. The first wave of support in Power of the Elements was good, but not too broken, but the archetype could be good with some broken cards in the second wave of support. If that were the case, we would have seen a ton of people all over Goatee of the Deep Beyond, the secret rare Goatee card from Power of the Elements that, when synchro summoned during your opponent's turn, lets you banish all cards currently on the field. However, it turns out that the second batch of support wasn't all that great. People were already starting to buy out this card before the support was revealed, and for a little bit, we saw the ultra rare copies of this card at $30, and the secrets all the way up at $7, which is high considering the card was only $1 or $2 before. However, now that the support has been officially revealed, and it's okay, nothing too crazy, the ultras are back down to 15, and the secrets are back down to $4. This is unfortunate because it would have been really cool to see a TCG exclusive archetype become meta relevant, something that could have distinguished the game a bit more from what happens in the OCG. Obviously, spirals and subterrors don't count because it took until we got Double Helix and Guru from a core set in the OCG for those themes to actually do well. But for now, I guess we'll keep waiting and see what happens with the new TCG exclusive themes that we get in 2023, starting with Photon Hypernova. Okay, so this is another odd one, but I think it's kinda cool that this card is getting recognition at the same time. We have sideframe gear Epsilon, so I think this might have been a card that jumped a bit because of the ban list. I didn't notice it until my friend at Locals pointed it out to me this weekend. Anyways, we all know what sideframe gear Gamma is, allowing you to negate any monster effect and summon itself and the driver out, but forcing you to run a brick in the main deck. Well, Epsilon is literally the exact same hand trap, but it's used to negate trap cards instead. I guess this is interesting if you really need to play around trap cards, though I guess it kind of depends on what you're worried about. If it's floodgates like Rivalry of Warlords or Gozen Match or TC Boo, then yeah, this card is okay, but a card like Twin Twisters is probably a lot better. However, I guess this could be really useful to shut off things like Dimensional Barrier or Different Dimension Ground that players side in against you. I think that the main reason people looked at this is because of the banning of Red Reboot, which left combo players a little bit more vulnerable to different trap cards, so people just wanted to explore more options available to them to counter these trap-based strategies. Now, to be honest, I don't think this card is going to see too much competitive play. Despite it catching the eyes of players soon after the ban list, I feel like having to control no monsters is a bit too restrictive for this card. I also haven't seen any deck lists that have topped where people are running this in either the main or the sideboard. Either way, it's still worth making note of. This card only has one common printing from back in High Speed Riders, and it's currently a $2 to $3 common card, so worth setting aside when you are going through bulk. However, it's probably also worth dumping if you have the chance and anyone's looking for it, since it'll probably fall back off the radar if it hasn't already. And even if it does start to see play, Konami might give it a holo printing in an upcoming reprint set or an OTS tournament pack. Next up, we'll take a look at Chamber Dragon Maid. So there are a couple of different Dragon Maid cards that we could take a look at, but we are going to look at Chamber here because its price jump was a bit bigger than the others. Chamber Dragon Maid is of course a useful card for the archetype, allowing you to search for a Dragon Maid spell or trap card on summon. So despite not being a huge part of the meta this last format, Dragon Link took some pretty big hits, losing both Halki Fibrax and Chaos Ruler. However, on the other hand, they are getting a big boost with the new Bestial cards coming out in Darkwing Blast. Although a lot of players will be looking at Bestials as a side deck engine to help get some extra copies of effectively a DD Crow, they do have some other cards that can be played as a larger engine and can mesh well with other Dragon cards. I think that some players may be looking at Dragon Maids as a potentially useful engine in the new version of the Dragon Link deck to help fill up space in the deck and to replace cards that it no longer needs to run. I believe there's also some speculation of Dragon Maids getting more support in the near future, since I think that there is an alternate art version of House Dragon Maid, one of the fusion monsters, that was just revealed as well in the OCG. Now, Chamber Dragon Maid has a history of being expensive, since it did take quite a while for the card to get a reprint. The original secret rares from Eternity Code were down at $25 to $30, but they have now shot way back up to the $45 mark. The gold rares, on the other hand, are fairly steady. They were around $8 before, they're now up at $10 a piece. But of course, they're not nearly as nice as the original print secret rares. Do remember though that Dragon Maids are a waifu archetype, so there will always be people who are looking to pick up the cards. It is a bit too high right now to try and buy, but don't feel like if you have them, you absolutely need to rush and sell them right now, because depending on how the format looks and what casual fans want to do, there is a chance that the card could continue its upward trend. To wrap up, we'll take a look at a couple of cards that are trending because of upcoming support in the next core set, Photon Hypernova. Now, one of the themes that is getting support is the Abyss Actors, a pendulum-based strategy that has some really cool things it can do. The new support is actually really good for the deck, giving it a search card for both an Abyss Actor and an Abyss Script, as well as a way to special summon an Abyss Actor directly out of the deck. Some really awesome stuff. Now, Curtain Raiser is a card that seems to go up in price every time anyone talks about a pendulum strategy potentially being viable. It has a scale effect that lets you summon it out once per duel if you control no monsters, and if you're just trying to make Beyond the Pendulum or a rank 4 monster, this makes it really easily. However, it does also have an effect for the Abyss Actor theme, where if it's on the field and you control no other monsters, you can dump an Abyss script from your deck to the graveyard to add an Abyss Actor from your extra deck face up back to your hand. Anyways, I feel like every couple of months we see Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser randomly go up in price and then come back down, and that's probably what's going to happen this time, especially considering that it still has just one printing from the original Battles of Legends set. It's now going for $7 for a single copy, and this is probably a card you're going to want to run 3 of in the Abyss Actor strategy specifically. As good as the new support is though, don't expect Abyss Actors to take over the meta or anything like that anytime soon, and so as a result we should expect to see Curtain Raiser settle back down in price over the next few weeks. And finally, the last card we're looking at for today is Blackbeard the Plunder Patrol Captain. Now this is a link monster for the Plunder Patrol archetype that can be made using 2 monsters, where one of them has to be a Plunder Patrol. It has a really cool effect where you can target a monster you control and then special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as an opponent's monster or a monster in their graveyard, and then you equip that first target to the summoned monster, and then you also get to draw a card as well. This is a really key card in the new Plunder Patrol deck, since the new Synchro Pendulum lets you summon a token to each player's field with whatever attribute you want. So the combination of this card with the new one helps you to cheat out basically any Plunder Patrol monster you want from your extra deck for free. Plunder Patrols were already an okay deck with the new Adventurer token cards, but they haven't really done anything recently. Hopefully the new cards means that the deck might have another showing in the near future. Now, we have had reprints of Whitebeard and Redbeard among other things, but we haven't gotten a reprint of Blackbeard yet, and he's almost certainly a 3 of in the extra deck now, and as a result the card has shot up in price. It actually was still a $7 card or so before, as the card got some attention when the deck topped with the Adventurer stuff out of nowhere, but now the card is actually all the way up at like $15 to $17 for a single copy, and unlike a lot of other buyouts and price spikes, this one seems to have stuck for a past few days. Photon Hypernova is still a few months away, so there's certainly a possibility that Blackbeard gets a reprint in the next few months. Whether or not you want to gamble on when that reprint will come and how the price of Blackbeard will go moving forward is definitely up to you guys, but as per usual, I would err on the side of caution and try to offload them for now for some guaranteed value. Alright guys, that is it from me for today's episode. Lots of interesting stuff still going on. I'm definitely looking forward to grabbing some stuff from Darkwing Blast. I have a regional coming up at the beginning of November, and I'm hoping to play Labyrinth there with the new card from the upcoming set if I can find a few Starlight copies. Anyways guys, if you did enjoy today's Market Watch episode, please make sure that you let me know by slamming that thumbs up button for me. Also make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think about the cards we talked about today, and also let me know what other cards are trending on the market so I can potentially cover them in a future episode as well. Also, if you haven't already, do make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button to get all of the latest and greatest content from both Tombox and myself here on the channel. And until next time guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.